This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Major injury concern for the Chiefs 2 days before they kick off their Super Bowl title defense against the Lions. Tight end Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee at practice. His status for Thursday uncertain. Duke and Colorado following huge upset wins in Week 1 into the AP Top 25 college football poll, 21 and 22 respectively. Florida State moved 4 spots up to number 4, and that may actually be a little low for the Seminoles, according to ESPN college football analyst Greg McElroy.
Tell me a team that looked better in Week 1 than Florida State. I would have a very, very difficult time not having Florida State at number 1. That's no disrespect to Georgia. I just looked at Georgia, and I don't think they were as dominant against lower-level competition than Florida State was in the second half, in particular, against high-level competition.
Live on ESPN men's quarterfinals, U.S. Open, Novak Djokovic leading Taylor Fritz 2-0. Coco Gauff defeated Yelena Ostapenko in straight sets. She is the first American teenager to advance to the women's semifinals at the U.S. Open since Serena Williams in 2001.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Deuce McAllister in 15 minutes. Feinswog is back to talk beer. Sean Salisbury in hour 3. Let us begin, though, how we do every single day right here on AFR.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Because Monday was Labor Day, Brian Kelly met with reporters on Tuesday to, thankfully, put the Florida State game to bed and turn the page to Grambling. I want to begin where Brian Kelly ended. Brian Kelly has been a head football coach for more than 30 years. He has a background in politics, so he is quite adept at swatting away questions and inquiries from reporters. And he's usually very jovial in his manner in which he does it. A year ago after the Florida State loss, he cracked with Leah Vann about her being late and said he owed her $10. A week ago, he made a joke about a reporter breaking a chair in the press conference. We've talked a lot here about Brian Kelly's bad dad humor, but it's levity and something that often isn't, and people take very seriously, and I appreciate that, which is why today was interesting, because Brian Kelly went through the entire press conference, and he was asked questions about how they're using Harold Perkins. I asked him point blank if they have enough talent in the secondary to be good, in so many words. He talked about Mason Smith coming back and about play calling and creativity in the offense and all the things that we've all talked about. And he just swatted them away one after another like he normally would. And then he got to the very end of his press conference, and he started to go through all the things that went wrong in the game. And you could hear it starting to build in his voice. Play it, Muse?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could go through a number of different situations. You know, we don't get to the chains on 3rd and 5. You know, we're short on the chains. What are you thinking in those situations? You know, what's your thought process? You know, we've got a drop here on 3rd and 6. You know, we're trying to turn upfield. Let's secure the catch. You know, we're 4th and 1, and we're trying to make a play instead of reading what the defender is giving you. I could elaborate further on defense.
So he's pacing good, right? He's running through all the things we've talked about. He's just all the plays, all the moments in the game, and you could tell it's starting to all just come back. Keep going.
We're spinning down a safety to sit in the curl. He's watching.
Now he's getting specific.
We could have been more creative with play calling. We could have been better defensively and making some less spy calls and bringing more pressure. I mean, I could attack the whole thing.
And now he starts to really crank up because he's talked about all the things, all the mental mistakes, all the things they did wrong throughout the game. But listen.
The bottom line is I've got to get our football team thinking the right way and play with a competitive edge. And football, this game of football, it is hard to win. If you don't play with a competitive edge, if you are not locked in and disciplined and focused, we can have a conversation about all these things all the time. If you have a competitive edge, if you recognize how hard this game is and you're focused, none of the crap that I just mentioned will matter because they'll overcome it.
None of the crap I mentioned matters because they'll overcome it. If I had one big takeaway from Brian Kelly today, it's that he thinks his team physically is plenty good enough. He's not sure that they care enough. And that is a real concern. Now, I'm not sure. Now, he knows his team better than I do. But that's something that he clearly needs to impress upon this team. And, he was asked about how it went last year, right? You lost your opener last year, and you were able to come back from it and have a really good year. But his point this year was, yeah, but all those guys had lost before. All those guys had gone through the muck of back-to-back 500 seasons. All these new guys, you're going to hear go look at the game notes this week. Boy, you look at the game notes, LSU's toting all the 11 true freshmen, the 30-some-odd players who saw their first action as an LSU Tiger in this game. All these new guys, they don't know what it's like to struggle yet at LSU. All the new guys, anyway. That was the point that Brian Kelly continued to make and that LSU is going to continue to make. But I'm going to tell you, man, that is a much bigger concern if you don't have the buy-in. Because that's something that you would think would be established by now. We're going to find out in pretty short order if they do. Now, all the other stuff, look, LSU's going to go run Grambling out the stadium Saturday. And a lot of young guys are going to get to play, and you'll probably get to see you'll see Nussmeier, you'll probably see Ricky Collins play. You see everybody play. They're going to be Grambling by 100 if they want to be Grambling by 100. But we'll really know for sure in 2 weeks when you go to Starkville for a road conference game what the level of buy-in is with this team, or as he continued to say, the competitive edge. Now, a couple of the particulars that I'm sure most of you are more interested in. The question I asked Brian Kelly about the secondary was, is it technique? Like, is it scheme? Or the way that I said it is, or were their guys just better than your guys? Meaning you don't physically have the ability to match up against elite wide receivers like Florida State had. Here's what Brian Kelly said.
There's some technical things that we have to be better at. We knew that there were going to be some matchup issues. It's not just about your ability. You have to apply the technique and the traits necessary if you want to succeed in this game. And we just didn't do a good enough job, whether it was at the cornerback position or whether it was at the safety position. If you're supposed to be in a particular position, you need to be there. And that's where a number of things broke down for us, and in particular at corner.
He talked specifically about, we teach guys that if they're going on a slant, you need to get inside of them. He spoke specifically about some things that they can do better, which is encouraging because, man, every play I saw Keon Coleman make, you had defenders around him, and he made the play over your defender. And it was Deuce Chestnut, and it was Zy Alexander, and it was Andre Sam, and it was Major Burns. They all took their licks from that dude, who was awesome. So I don't know that you're going to face another Keon Coleman, but Shamar Stewart from A&M is really good. Arkansas has, I think, their best receiving core since the receiving core that Ryan Mallett was throwing to back in the day. So you're going to be challenged again in that secondary. The other big question, of course, is how they're using Harold Perkins. We talked about it a ton yesterday. Derry Beckwith was with us. If you missed that, you can catch that interview on demand. And I believe it was Cobble who asked the question. And the way he said it was, can you afford to keep Harold Perkins inside? Meaning you severely lacked a pass rush on Sunday night. And Perkins was a total non-factor playing inside. On this team where your secondary is struggling, can you afford to have a guy that is such an elite pass rusher not rush the passer?
Certainly a question that we have talked about. There's a lot going on, and you could clearly look at Harold and what he's asked to do versus, lining him up off the edge. Player development has to be thought about, where he goes at the next level has to be thought about, and then impacting our team. So I think that there's a happy medium there that we could probably strike, and we've already begun to look at how we can be most effective for Harold and for LSU.
I have no doubt that they're going to look at that. We're all having the conversation. Of course they're having the conversation. The thing where I'll push back is where you say we have to think about player development, sure, and what that means for him at the next level. And part of me understands that because you are trying to get guys into your program, through your program, and off to the NFL. But your job is to win games at LSU, plus prepare them to go to the NFL. First is your job is to win games at LSU. You have got to put Harold Perkins in the best situation to help you win games at LSU. If this secondary is going to be that bad, and the way that you can alleviate pressure on them is by pressuring the quarterback, and Harold Perkins is your best guy to do that, then you need Harold Perkins to pressure the quarterback. The Pro Football Focus numbers that we shared, 26 defensive snaps in pass coverage, 28 defensive snaps in pass coverage, 7 pass rush attempts by Harold Perkins. You need to invert those numbers. All right, it's after further review. We'll let you hear much more from Brian Kelly as we move throughout the show today. Saints had the weekend off. They were back on the practice field Monday, getting ready for their season opener on Sunday in the Dome against Tennessee. Deuce McAllister, Saints all-time great, and, of course, member of the New Orleans Saints radio network, will be with us coming up right after the break. Our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints, the official beer of the Southern Jaguars. No matter if you're at Tiger Stadium, Mumford Stadium, in the Caesars Superdome all season long, drink easy in Louisiana with Bud Light. It's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Deuce McAllister joins us next on AFR.
AFR.
Man, it is a great time to sell your home. You might hear me say that and go, Matt, you're crazy. I see what's happening with interest rates. Homes are sitting. No, they're not. Right now in Baton Rouge, we are in a seller's market because there is a lack of inventory. What's happened is a lot of buyers have said, sit on the sideline and we'll see if rates come down, get more buying power. But most people now have come to accept the fact that rates are going to be high for a while. So buy now and refinance later. So buyers are looking for properties, but in Baton Rouge right now, there's only about a 3-month supply of inventory. Average is 6 months. So there's roughly half the inventory on the market that we typically see. So if you're thinking about selling your home, call Darren James. Do it right now. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I would just say I'm confident in our football team. I think we've had a really good camp. I think we've executed at a high level, really in all 3 phases throughout training camp. And so I feel confident in what this team's able to do.
It's game week, y'all. Saints, Titans from the Dome on Sunday. They'll get this party started. The GOAT, Saints, former Saints running back Deuce McAllister. Of course, you'll hear him on the radio broadcast, part of the Saints radio network. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Deuce, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, sir?
Been doing awesome. Hey, I'd love to start by getting a thought on the schedule change. Now with 17 games and having that sort of this weekend off and sort of a delay from the end of the 3rd preseason game before the roster cuts and everything. Just on how the schedule plays out now leading up to week 1.
Well, it's a break, and so it's almost like a mini break when you have that little quirk or the adjustment that they've made from obviously adding that extra game, and so it's always intriguing the moves, the other roster moves that teams can make, and so that's why it's always interesting when guys appear to have made the initial roster, the 53-man roster, but then there's so much time that there's some shuffling that goes on, and even when you look at it from now until the actual game, there will still be more roster shuffling that will go about.
Where's the spots on the roster where you think there might still be moves made?
One, you never want anything, but injuries could always play a part of it. I think also when you look at it, maybe you're a little light at the linebacker position. Maybe it's and with COVID, you did have the ability. A couple things happen when it relates to football. You're able to expand the practice squad, and then you have the ability to be able to call up a couple of guys as far as that is concerned, and so those are some things that they did continue to keep, even though you aren't dealing with that the pandemic. So for me, you're always probably going to look at linebacker is one spot, and then from a safety standpoint, cornerback, defensive back. Do you add somebody there, or do you go with extra body via the defensive line?
Deuce McAllister is with us on Twitter at DMcAllister26. Deuce, I want to talk about your old spot there, running back. Of course, no Alvin Kamara weeks 1 through 3, and we don't have an update yet on Kendre Miller and his status. If we presume Miller isn't available or is limited, and then there's no Alvin Kamara, how do you feel about that running back room going into week 1?
Well, that's another spot that, I wasn't going to count him out yet. I was going to try to let him at least get through practice if he was available to practice. But that would be another spot that you're going to have to probably add somebody there. Here's the thing: when you look at Tennessee overall, their defense was going to be tough to run against, even with Alvin. And then to say you were going to put that pressure on a rookie, that was going to be tough. And so for the Saints, they will have to grind out some yardage. But, you know, you're going to be able to basically make your hay throwing the football. You've got to be able to do it. And now that comes into question, can you protect the quarterback?
I'll come to the offensive line in a second, but one more. When would you say, like, when throughout the course of a game week, would you say you have to feel healthy as a running back, right, and ready to go? Speaking from Kendra Miller here, like when would be enough time for him to be able to play on Sunday and he would know he felt good?
Well, really, if he was a veteran, then I would say by Friday. But with him being a rookie and him missing so much time, I mean, to be honest, if he's not ready to go on Wednesday, really, honestly, then how can you feel confident with him being able to go out there and get reps or, you know, because he's missing reps.
Yeah.
You're talking about an individual that didn't do anything for you this spring, and then he's missed a little time as far as during camp. You know, that's a lot. And so for me as a coach, I would want to see it on Wednesday. And if I can't see it on Wednesday, then I'm not saying, hey, look, he's not available. You know that his playbook will be small anyway just because he's a rookie. But, you know, I'm probably leaning on some of the other guys that I know that are going to be available.
Deuce McAllister is with us. You mentioned the offensive line, Deuce, as well. Look, we know the challenge. I mean, Tennessee led the NFL in rush defense a year ago. I would love a thought on how you think this unit shapes up now with Trevor Penning as the left tackle and how it's all going to shape up coming out of camp here.
Well, I think that you have a physical group. I mean, I think that they're a physical group. You don't have as much experience or depth as you would like. I mean, but that's really any NFL team. You know, it's just hard to develop offensive linemen. And so for the Saints, what they've got to be able to do is, one, you've got to be able to stay healthy. You've got to be able to be on the same page because there are going to be some matchups that they have to face when you talk about Simmons, you know, Landry, and just some of the guys that they have. There are going to be some matchups that probably aren't favorable for the Saints. And so the question becomes, who do they leave in one-on-one situations? You know, who can I help? And then the Titans, they're going to be able to say, hey, look, this guy's getting double teamed. You know, you can't double every guy. So some guys are going to have to win some one-on-ones. And, you know, I'm interested and intrigued to see if they can be able to win those one-on-ones because that's what this game is going to come down to. You know, can you hold up front against a very, very good front seven Tennessee Titans defense?
Deuce, last week, the other position you mentioned was linebacker. Last week we talked to your former teammate Scott Shanley, and I asked him about Jalen Smith. And I'm going to paraphrase, but essentially he sort of questioned whether or not Jalen could be a three-down linebacker still at this point in the NFL. I'm curious what you saw there with Jalen in training camp and in the preseason, and if you feel like the Saints right there are settled right now with the group that they have.
Thing, you don't have to be a three-down back. I mean, you're not looking for a three-down linebacker out of Jalen just because the Saints don't play a ton of 4-3 defense. Now, this may be a game where they do play heavy 4-3 defense, and you may see Jalen be one of the guys that is called up from the practice squad. But at this point in how they play defense, you really don't use or you wouldn't use him in that manner unless, you know, DeMario is hurt or Pete Werner is hurt, and then you would be at to step into that role as far as being one of your every down kind of linebacker. And so as a player, he's played a ton in the NFL, and I think that he can help, you know, this Saints defense. But I don't know if you need him to be that starter or even the player that he was 3-4 years ago, you know, when he was with the Cowboys.
It's always great perspective. Last thing for you, Deuce, your time very much appreciated. You're a guy who wore the captain's C. We saw Derek Carr is going to be one of the team's 7 captains this year. If I could, just a thought on what you've seen as a veteran guy, seeing Derek Carr sort of assimilate to this team within training camp in the preseason as they sort of push off from the dock here week 1. Just your thoughts on what you've seen from Derek Carr.
He's been an outstanding leader. He's done everything that any coach, any staff would have wanted him to do as far as taking over that leadership role. And then, you know, it just can't be words. You have to have some actions, you know, to really get guys to follow you. And that's what he's been able to do. And so, you know, there are no steps that you can walk through that makes you like Drew Brees. Don't try to go out there and be Drew Brees. Go be Derek Carr. That's all we ask for you. It's not going to be perfect, but, own it. Manage your show. This is your show. This is your operation, and go own it. I mean, just go be yourself.
He is the great Deuce McAllister. He's on Twitter at DMcAllister26. Y'all give him a follow, of course. He'll be on the broadcast Sunday. Member of the Saints Radio Network as the Saints and the Titans get things kicked off. Deuce, it's always a pleasure, man. Can't thank you enough for a couple of minutes as always.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. Be well. That is Deuce McAllister. This is After Further Review, brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. Of course, if you're a football player, maybe your son or daughter is a baseball player, softball, volleyball, track and field, lacrosse, doesn't matter. Soccer, swimming and diving. If you want to be your physical best, Traction can help. World-class facility right there on Burbank and Baton Rouge. Amazing the amount of money they've invested into the physical facility and then also the people, the best trainers in the country. I mean, world-class facility, world-class training, world-class physical therapy clinic right there where professional and collegiate athletes come to train. Those resources are available to your son and daughter with sports-specific training. Learn more at TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. I appreciate Deuce for a couple of minutes there. Wanted his take on certainly just on the schedule. It's different because normally when you'd play that fourth preseason game, everybody would finish on Thursday, right? And then you'd have the roster cut down over that weekend. Then you're into game week. Well, being that you played your last preseason game last weekend on Sunday, you had basically last week, this weekend, everyone was off, and now they're in a game week. So it is kind of like a mini bye before the season starts. So you should be healthy and rested and recovered and refreshed for the start of the season here in week one. Deuce highlighted linebacker, cornerback, and then, of course, running back. But for this week in particular, when you're facing the Tennessee Titans, who were the best run defense in the NFL a year ago, with those monsters like Jeffrey Simmons up front, it's probably going to be tough for the Saints to run the ball, even if they had Alvin Kamara. So what can the Saints do through the air against Tennessee? It'll be a game where you look at Derek Carr and say, all right, man, go spin it. Chris Olave, see if Rashid Shaheed's ready to roll. Michael Thomas, how healthy are you? Jimmy Graham, Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, all those big targets. What can you do in the passing game? It'll be interesting. The flip side of it is, of course, we'll talk about the Titans as we move through the week, but what Tennessee's drafted a quarterback each of the last 2 years. And, I don't think we're going to see Will Levis this weekend. But how much confidence do they have in Ryan Tannehill? What's realistic for that Tennessee team offensively coming into the Dome on Sunday? Saints are a 3-point favorite. We'll preview it plenty as we move throughout the week. All right. Thanks again to Deuce McAllister with us. Tuesday show is always powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You want a John Deere? You're buying it from Sunshine. From a bunkie on down to the bayou, every point in between, it's Sunshine with 17 locations across South Louisiana. All right, it is After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break, come back, go around the SEC. What an upset last night. Duke beats Clemson. My ACC pick is awesome. Pick Clemson to win the ACC. Picked LSU to win the SEC. I'm on fire. At least I got Coach Prime. All right, stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown, right there on Blue Bond. Remember, this Friday, then every Friday before LSU home football games, the Tigers are staying at the Renaissance. Why? Because the Renaissance can accommodate the team and the entire LSU football operations with their guest rooms, but they can also accommodate LSU with all of their meeting rooms. Before the game, they have all the position meetings. Every position meets in a specific room designated for them. And the Renaissance has tons of meeting space. So whatever event you're trying to host, the Renaissance can help you. Right there on Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge. Call Allison Crump over at the Renaissance. She'll get you coordinated for whatever meeting you're trying to have. And remember, Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. Casual, upscale dining. Congrats to Chef Jason Hebert. Won the gold medal at Fête Rouge of the Baton Rouge Epicurean Society a week ago. Make sure you try it. It's Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner on September the 29th. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Market, Citizens Bank and Trust, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Clemson Duke beat Clemson last night, 28-7. The reality is, Clemson losing is more interesting than Duke winning. Fair or unfair, just where attention goes. People aren't going to maybe pay as much attention to the Duke win as what this means for Clemson losing. But here was Duke head coach Mike Elko on the win.
We certainly didn't come into this game talking about an upset. We didn't come into this game talking about we had to do this and that to pull this amazing thing off. We just talked about playing Duke football. And I think people have a really hard time understanding that a group of kids can really come together and work extremely hard and change who they are and change what they're all about. And that's what these kids have done. And that doesn't show up in stats or whatever causes us to be a major underdog or whatever else this was about a major upset. And so we believe that we do the things we need to do to give ourselves a chance to win every game we play. And that's now, 15 games or 14 games that's been the case. We've had an opportunity in every game this team has gone out there to win the football game, and we certainly didn't anticipate tonight would be any different.
So Duke played really well, and they win the game. The odd thing is, for this game. Like Clemson won the yardstick. They outgained them. They had more first downs. They had 2 possessions inside. They had 2 turnovers inside the 10-yard line. They had a field goal block. It was a game where, almost like LSU's first half, you move the football and you just don't finish drives, and then you find yourself in a really sticky situation. And that's what happened to LSU. It's what happened to Clemson. That's 2 top 10 teams that lost this week in embarrassing fashion by 3 touchdowns. Here was Dabo after the loss.
I've never been a part of a game like that, ever. And been here at Clemson a long time. Since I've been the head coach, we were 58-0 when we rushed for 200 and passed for 200. It's usually a pretty good indicator. And I think in Clemson history, we were 108-0. Never lost, ever. But you got to finish. You got to finish. And obviously we did not do that. So many opportunities, on the 1-yard line a couple times, 1 for 4 in the red zone. Obviously the turnovers, 3 turnovers, a couple low block kicks that really didn't even give them a chance. It's really, really disappointing.
It was a weird outlier. But y'all, Clemson was my pick to win the ACC. That looks awful now. I picked LSU to win the SEC. Don't look so hot right now. Sometimes preseason picks can be humbling. But I got Coach Prime, bro. I'm a ride Coach Prime. We got this. I wish they'd put me on Ralphie's back, Muse. I wish they would let me. I would fly to Boulder right now. Well, I'd fly to Denver and then drive to Boulder. And I would, if they let me, for this game this weekend with Colorado against Nebraska, I would eschew LSU Grambling. I would go to Boulder. If they let me saddle up on Ralphie, I'd ride that son of a bugger right out of the chute and lead that team out onto the field. You think you could ride a Buffalo? You think they'd let me?
You can. I don't think they would let.
Is it possible to ride a buffalo?
Yes.
Buffaloes aren't as big as you'd think a buffalo is. Google how big is a buffalo.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Google, Google how big. You would think a buffalo. In my mind, I think a buffalo is. I would think almost like a bison or like this massive thing. Buffaloes aren't actually that big.
I would say it. I haven't kidded her yet, but I would say it's probably at least a 500 to 600 pound animal.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's huge. What are you talking about?
No. What?
A fully grown male adult buffalo, 1,000 to 2,200 pounds.
It's like the size of a car, but it's not tall. Is my point.
It doesn't matter. That's huge, man.
I'm not saying that they're tiny animals. What I'm saying is normally with a buffalo, like you would think a buffalo is taller than you and this big wide thing. It's probably like a tercel.
Grows to 7 to 11.5 feet long from head to rump.
See, 7 feet.
And
how big is Ralphie?
2,200 pounds. I don't know how big Ralphie is. He's a fully grown male buffalo, so I'd imagine.
I feel like it would be like riding.
A...
It would be like riding in a Volkswagen Passat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're really high on this Colorado pick. What if they have the letdown and lose to Nebraska this weekend?
No, fam. I got news for you. I watched Nebraska play last week. Nebraska's offense is poop. Like, they are not, and I get it. Colorado allowed a lot of yards and points, but Nebraska's poop. Matt Rule's a good coach. He'll win there. He'll get them to respectability, I have no doubt. But Nebraska ain't stopping Colorado from scoring. So what's the line on that game? Didn't Otter tell us yesterday it's been like a 13-point swing?
Yeah, yesterday Otter had it at 5.
It went from Nebraska by 5 to Colorado by 7 or something like that, I think.
I didn't know if it was quite a touchdown yet.
Let me ride Ralphie.
It is 3.5. Colorado 3.5 is what I'm looking at right now.
I want to ride Ralphie. I will go to Colorado. I will put a saddle on that mug, and I will ride Ralphie right out of the tunnel, all the way onto the field. And it's not that fast. Think about it. Whenever Ralphie runs out onto the field, can you get a video of Ralphie running on the field? I think... the handlers hold the little ropes.
Okay, again, according to Google, Buffalo can run up to 35 miles per hour. That's pretty damn fast.
Ralphie don't run that fast.
I think you're severely underestimating Buffalo. I'm just saying.
Ralphie doesn't run that fast because I've watched Ralphie run out onto the field, but they run with him.
But he's dragging humans a lot of the time.
No. Look, here he goes. There's Ralphie running out on the field.
And this poor soul in the back.
But here's my point. He's they're running with him. All right, that's enough. Like, what's a top speed for a human? Is 22 miles an hour? That's like Usain Bolt running 22 miles an hour.
I'm just saying, imagine riding on the back of a buffalo when it's going 35.
But he ain't going 35. That's my point, Muse. But he ain't. Look at my boy. Here's Ralphie. And he got all these people running with him. I would get on his back. And my point is, even if I fell off, and if he's running 15, 20 miles an hour max, he's probably running like 15 miles an hour, I'd take that tumble, 15 miles an hour off of Ralphie's back. Look at them all running with him. I'm going to tell you what. That's majestic. And look, nobody in the stands either.
It's going to be a hell of a moment this weekend, though, bro.
Change this weekend.
There's
You
going to
better
be a lot of
believe
people in the
Come
stands.
on, Coach Prime. Go get him. Let me ride Ralphie. By the way, if you want to bet on that game, you could do it. How about sometimes synergies just flow? We were just talking about bet. I could do the DraftKings read right here. You could certainly bet on that game this weekend at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. All your college football games, great opportunity to bet on them all at the DraftKings Sportsbook. If you haven't done it yet, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app. And, of course, by the way, Thursday, if you have not heard, Thursday is the start of the NFL season. The Lions and the Chefs, you want to bet on it? You can do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook. It is the best Thursday of the year, even better than Thanksgiving. It's opening night of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. They are hooking up new customers with a can't-miss offer to celebrate the opening of the NFL season. Place a $5 NFL bet and score $200 in bonus bets instantly at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So, again, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet $5 on the NFL. They'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. Also, every single game day, so this is all customers, new and existing. Keep this in mind. Every single game day, all throughout the year, DraftKings is going to have 2 new offers. Every game day throughout September. I said throughout the year. Throughout September, excuse me. So check the app every game day and make sure you see the new offers that they have. So don't wait till kickoff to get in on the hype. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. It's code Baton Rouge only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The crown is yours. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms, licensing partner, Golden Lake Charles. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Excellence in imaging solutions. The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Bad news for linebacker Mohamed Kaba. He's going to miss the rest of the season with a left knee injury suffered early in the loss to North Carolina on Saturday. The 6'2", 253-pound redshirt junior is just coming back off of a season-ending injury to his right knee he suffered in the Arkansas game last year in Week 2. So really disappointing news there from Mohamed Kaba. Debo Williams and Stone Blantner as replacement. South Carolina hosts Furman on Saturday.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Offensive lineman Kenneth Horsey, their starting left guard, suffered an injury, a lower leg injury, with about a minute before halftime on Saturday. He was carted off the field. Initially, Mark Stoops wasn't sure the severity. Now we know it is not season-ending. However, Horsey is expected to miss a couple of weeks. In the meantime, Dylan Ray will start at left guard for the Wildcats.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy expected to get some injured defenders back for this weekend's game against Wake Forest. Darren Ague and Linus Zunk are expected to return for Vanderbilt. Ague's been out with a dislocated elbow. Zunk missed the Alabama A&M game with what was described an upper body injury. Also, defensive lineman Christian James is still about a week or two from returning, so he will miss the game. And running back Patrick Smith, shoulder injury, is expected to play against the Demon Deacons.
The Florida Gators.
While we're talking about injuries, here's a basketball one for you. Sophomore power forward Alexis Simzik made 14 appearances a year ago as a true freshman coming in from Germany. He's got a broken foot. He's going to miss 10 to 12 weeks. The injury will require minor surgery. Simzik expected to provide depth in the front court for the Gators. He was Florida's first international edition of the Todd Golden era out of Germany last year. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends Gulf Coast Office Products, online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you always get, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the ULL Raging Cajuns, and now the Baton Rouge Zydeco, the minor league hockey team, coming to BR. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break here of hour number one. We'll talk bowl projections and updated top 25 rankings, all that stuff, in about 15 minutes. We'll let you hear more of what Brian Kelly had to say as he kind of put the Florida State game to bed and turned the page to Grambling. That's coming up. Feinswog's back. We'll talk some beer. Sean Salisbury in hour number 3. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a great feature by Seth Wickersham up at ESPN.com on Sean Payton. It's one of those very long features that's going to take you like 30 minutes to read. There's a couple of really notable tidbits in that feature about Sean Payton's time in New Orleans I want to discuss when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys, tell you every day. Go to any of the social media platforms to @GetGordon, and you'll see all the great content. Gordon does a really good job of putting up free legal advice, which is fantastic for anybody that's a Louisiana resident. Also, there's great content with members of the G team. Highlight receiver Smoke Harris from Louisiana Tech. That's up there at Get Gordon on any of those social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's all there for you. I tell you all the time about grubbing with G as well. Gordon sits down with a lot of the members of the G team. They share a meal and they talk and they clip that up and share it on the platform. So highly recommend that you follow Gordon on any of the social media platforms. It's at Get Gordon on all of them. And as always, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Call 888-8888, 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I'm telling you, the buffalo is just not as big as you think it is.
I'm
Buse.
telling you, you are misremembering this as a buffalo.
I'm not saying that they're small. I'm just saying it's not as big of an animal as you'd think. Like, when I think of a buffalo, I think of like an elephant. Like a gigantic, it's just not that big.
Well, that's a completely different animal. But the point is, a buffalo, it's in between 1,000 and 2,200
Look
pounds.
this up. Is there a difference between a buffalo and a water buffalo?
Oh, that's a good question.
Look that up. Every now and again, as someone who, at his core, is a print journalist. I know I've always done radio and TV and different things, but I got my degree in print journalism, and I love creative writing. Oddly, it's something that I'm pretty good at. I just don't do much of professionally. I can appreciate very much when news outlets actually invest in their writers to go produce long-form written content, because it's very expensive to do. Like, and all this to say, ESPN sent one of their writers, Seth Wickersham, to do a long-form piece on Sean Payton, his time away from the NFL, coming back into the Broncos, all this sort of stuff. It's titled "Sean Payton Doesn't Forget Anything." It's up at ESPN.com. Yes, it is a ESPN Plus piece, so you have to have the ESPN subscription. But my point is, Seth Wickersham went up to Idaho where Sean Payton was vacationing and hung out with him for a long time. Talked to Sean Payton's new wife, Shailene. Talked to Bill Parcells. Talked to Mickey Loomis. A lot of people all around the Denver Broncos. For example, Sean Payton goes and lives in Idaho for a month and has a golf game every day with Wayne Gretzky and John Elway and some incredible people that they have in their golf foursome every day. But anyway, it's a really, really well done piece by Seth Wickersham. And again, if you're ESPN, you have to invest the time to say, okay, this guy is not going to produce content for me every day. I'm going to give you all this time to go and money to go travel and investigate and research and interview and write. And after 3 months or whatever it is, we're going to have one story. Like, that's tough to justify in the modern digital age. So when I see it happen, I can appreciate it. And this happened to be about Sean Payton, and clearly I'm interested because I'm a Saints fan. And Skylene is Sean Payton's wife, Skylene Montgomery. Payton, I guess now. They're married. But I would highly recommend it to anybody. He did a great job. Talks a lot. He writes a lot in detail with Sean Payton about his time in New Orleans, why ultimately it came to an end when it did, and why he decided to get back in. And there's just a lot of color and detail around it. But what's really interesting in particular, and I didn't know this, we know Sean Payton and Roger Goodell have had a very public feud. And Sean Payton, of course, wore the Roger Goodell clown shirt underneath a quarter zip where it was unzipped just enough so you could see it so you know what it was. And Sean Payton, on the record, spoke about Roger Goodell and how the Saints were officiated during his last 4 years in New Orleans. He wrote, or Sean Payton said, quote, "I think it starts with Roger Goodell. The Saints commissioned a study of penalties drawn by each NFL team over the previous 4 seasons, 2018 to 2021. New Orleans ranked 30th, 31st, 32nd, and 32nd. The data concluded the Saints were the only team in the bottom 5 in penalties for 4 straight seasons since 2006, which happens to be the year both Payton was hired by the Saints and Goodell was promoted to commissioner. Last year, New Orleans' first under Dennis Allen team tied with Tampa for 20th in penalties. Wickersham also mentions that Sean Payton's appeal of the Bounty Gate suspension, he did it in person in New York with Goodell, and they ended up screaming at each other. So it's no surprise when you see Sean Payton go after the league and go after Roger Goodell. But what was really interesting in this piece is how much that continued to mount. So much so that there was an NFL concussion protocol doctor on the sideline, and Sean Payton thought he was a spy sent by the NFL to spy on the Saints. So Sean Payton kept eyeing him, and ultimately, when he was told who it was, had to go apologize that it was just a doctor on the sideline. It was fascinating. It's a fascinating piece. I think Sean Payton's re-entrance into the NFL with the Denver Broncos is going to be one of the more fascinating storylines to watch throughout the NFL this season. For what it's worth, I don't know that the NFL is picking on the New Orleans Saints. It's possible the Saints were a very undisciplined team. How many of those penalties were objective versus subjective penalties? I don't know the answer to that, and maybe we'll never find out. But in the end, it all remains the same, that Sean Payton is going to be forever revered here. And I think there's a lot of people that are cheering for his success there in Denver. All right, hour number 2 coming up after SportsCenter.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. Check them out online. One of the things that I'd highly encourage you to do, and I think some people have heard me say Mold Zero is a patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. And you think about a fog, a spray, and what that may be and different toxins. What I want to tell you is, and really stress when I say it's a non-toxic spray. So you don't have to move stuff out of your home or your office or whatever the case may be. The church facility. If you've got mold or think you might, call Jim Woodworth. Jim's a great dude. He's an Air Force veteran. He's been all over the world and helped our country recover from some of the most profound disasters, from the 9/11 attacks to the BP oil spill. It's non-toxic. There's little or no demolition required. I highly recommend you learn more at mold-0usa.com. Mold and other harmful pathogens, they can help online, mold-0usa.com.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi with what you need to know. Chiefs All-Pro tight end Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee at practice today. His status uncertain for Thursday's season opener versus the Lions. Expectation of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is for quarterback Dak Prescott to be with the team for a long time. Jones said on 105.3 The Fan, a Prescott contract is always on his mind, and he believes it'll eventually get done. Big things from the Cowboys offense anticipated after some offseason moves, but this season will be a disappointment for Dallas, believes Chris Canty, co-host of Unsportsmanlike.
We're going to be saying, how about them Cowboys not being in the playoffs in 2023? That's what it's setting up for. The quarterback has had 35 turnovers in the last 31 games. The quarterback has missed 17 games over the last 3 years. The head coach has had game management issues.
Cowboys open up the season against the Giants Sunday night. Tennis, Novak Djokovic beat Taylor Fritz. Men's quarterfinals, U.S. Open reached his record 47th Grand Slam semifinal. Coco Gauff defeated Yelena Ostapenko. She's the first American teenager to advance to the women's semis at the U.S. Open since Serena Williams in 2001.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Lee Feinswog, who's been gone for well over a month, joins us in about 15 minutes. I'm actually excited to talk to Lee because we can talk about beer, and he said, ask me about my trip to Japan. There's plenty of stuff you can make fun of me for. That sounds awesome. That sounds way better than continuing to talk about the LSU-Florida State game. So we will get to that. Shout out to our friends Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Of course, the official equipment dealer of LSU Athletics and the official tractor of the New Orleans Saints. Since Clemson and Duke played Monday, the updated rankings didn't come out until Tuesday, and there is a consensus on the Tigers. LSU ranked 14th in both the AP and the coaches' polls. So Tigers dropped 9 spots from 5 to 14. Can't say that that's terribly surprising, especially when all of the teams in front and just behind you win. You would anticipate if you lose, you were going to drop, and LSU plummeted to 14. There is still a very, very long way to go. And a lot of teams that weren't tested in week 1 will be tested in week 2, namely Alabama and Texas. Someone ranked ahead of you there will lose, and depending on how that game goes, you could see yourself ranked ahead of them. But again, it's a very long way to go, and these are all lessons we learned a season ago with this LSU team, losing week 1 and finding a way to climb all the way back into the top 10 by the time you got to that final week of the regular season against Texas A&M. So a long way for the Tigers to go. But when Brian Kelly was, meeting with the media, one of the things that he led with, actually the thing he led with on Tuesday, was elaborate on the comments he made after the loss against Florida State, where he said that we're not the team I thought we were. And he took nearly a minute, just right from onset, before he even started taking questions, elaborating on what he meant.
It has nothing to do with their physical ability. I knew who they were physically. But, when you're playing and competing at the highest level, this is about a connection between the mental and the mental preparation, the mind and the body. And there was a disconnect there. The game of football requires a competitive edge that we lacked, in particular the second half. So understanding and recognizing, how our team was thinking and what they thought about themselves and their beliefs and all of those things come into question when you talk about the performance. Because it's not just about talent. It's the ability to put talent and certainly the right way of thinking and what they believe. And certainly that belief was misguided.
Yeah, of course, it's not just about talent, because if it was just about talent, then you would never see upsets. So to that extent, it makes sense. The thing and the gaps that I'm very anxious to see if this team can fill in is that gap between the talent and the preparation. Because all during the Florida State week and all summer, we talked about that game. And I picked LSU to win it, like I think a lot of people did. I mean, LSU was favored to win the game, and the computers liked LSU and all that stuff as well. And I could have seen a number of outcomes. I could have certainly seen Florida State winning a close game. What I didn't see was Florida State outscoring LSU 31-7 in the second half and LSU losing by 3 touchdowns. I just didn't see that outcome as a possibility. So you go play the game 100 times, you probably don't get a 3-touchdown result either way, but maybe a handful of times. So how do you close that gap between your preparation, between what Brian Kelly continue to refer to as the competitive edge, and your talent, to make sure that you have your talent playing at that peak level so you can go be more competitive. But he was asked a lot about would they look at different things and situations and personnel this week, and Brian Kelly sort of affirmed what you'd expect.
Anytime you have a setback, you're going to examine everything. You're not going to have blinders on and say, well, the ball just didn't bounce our way. You're going to examine everything, from play calls to personnel to what time did we leave the locker room. So all of that is under scrutiny.
He is a very process and detail-oriented man and coach, so I have no doubt about that. The thing that is worth noting is what LSU did a year ago after their losses. They lost to Florida State. Of course, they came back and beat Southern 65-17. They lost to Tennessee, and if you remember, the next week, LSU had to go to Florida, and that was Anthony Richardson, and it's a road trip to the swamp, and you're coming off this really deflating performance where LSU had climbed back into the national rankings after beating Mississippi State, New Mexico, and winning at Auburn. And then you're home against Tennessee, and it felt like that was your moment to prove how far you had come in the 5 games since that Florida State game, and you got waxed. Well, you had to go on the road to Florida a week later, and you end up winning that game 45-35. So I look at LSU's response to losses a year ago, and I'm optimistic in that respect that, well, of course, LSU plays Grambling this week, but that Brian Kelly and his staff will be able to get this thing going back in the right direction. For whatever it is worth, every Monday there's always bowl projections that come out. So Muse pulled all these. ESPN's Mark Schlabach has LSU in the Texas Bowl. Kyle Bonagura from ESPN has LSU in the Citrus Bowl, so right back where they were a year ago. Jerry Palm has LSU in the Peach Bowl, so Jerry Palm still think highly of LSU there in a New Year's 6. Brett McMurphy over at Action Network has LSU in the ReliaQuest. What is the ReliaQuest? That was something else they've renamed.
Yeah, it's the former Outback Bowl.
Outback. Oh, thank you. Okay, so down in Orlando or in Tampa at the ReliaQuest Bowl. And I'm looking to see if there are others that you pulled. No, so a little bit of a variety there. It is so hard, y'all. It is so hard for me to imagine LSU falling to the Texas Bowl or the ReliaQuest Bowl. Remember, and this is such a long way away, but it's just worth reminding you that the way the bowl assignments are divvied out, of course, the College Football Playoff assigns the playoff in the New Year's 6. After that, the highest-ranked SEC team goes to the Citrus Bowl. And then after that, the remaining SEC tie-ins are all placed based on proximity and matchups and all that stuff. There isn't really a difference anymore between the ReliaQuest Bowl and the Texas Bowl and all the others, although it feels that way. The Las Vegas Bowl, as we talk about, the Las Vegas Bowl. The Las Vegas Bowl. No, not on the button? Okay. We got to get it on a button, especially because LSU is going to play USC in Las Vegas next year. Had plenty of opportunities yesterday.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
There it is. Okay. It's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. If you had roof damage or think you might have had roof damage as a result of all the inclement weather that has been rolling through here in the past several weeks, we've needed it. We've needed the rain for a cool down, but certainly hopeful that everybody's homes have been protected. But we'd love to give you a free no-obligation roofing inspection. The other thing I got to remind you about, if you own a commercial building, Hudco does commercial roofs as well, and Hudco has a coating product, and it is a silicone coating product. It's roughly half the cost of a roof replacement, and it comes with a 20-year warranty. So think about it. If you didn't have to pay for you could pay half the cost now, and you didn't have to fool with it for 20 years, are you still even going to own the building in 20 years? It's worth a call to Hudco. HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com, servicing the entire state of Louisiana. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. All right, it's after further review. Muse, tell me what you have found out about Buffaloes. As I am saying, since my pick of Clemson to win the ACC looks awful, my pick of LSU to win the SEC, not great after week one, I'm riding with Coach Prime and the Buffaloes, and I put out the call. I will saddle me up on Ralphie. I will leave the show. I will, on my own dime, fly to Denver, drive to Boulder, and I will ride Ralphie. Or if they don't want to let me ride Ralphie on a saddle, I'll run with Ralphie out the tunnel and lead Coach Prime and the boys onto the field. I'm ready for it. What do you have for me?
All right, so here's the thing.
Okay.
You asked about buffalo and water buffalo. Okay,
and then bison and all those different things.
So water buffalo and buffalo, that's in Africa, southern and east Africa. Water buffalo are domesticated and only seen along the Nile and in Asia.
So we don't even have buffalo here.
Exactly.
Ralphie's a bison.
Ralphie is a bison. And not just that, Matt. Ralphie is a female bison.
I knew it.
Because they are smaller.
She tiny.
And less aggressive than the male. Now, that being said,
she tiny.
As we said when we looked it up earlier
she tiny.
About that, and by the way, there are no buffalo, like you said, in North America. A female can grow up to 1,200 pounds still, though, and reach 25 miles per hour. So not only is Ralphie not a buffalo, it's a bison, and that is different.
Yep.
And bigger, as you did say. You said that.
Told you.
Now, I will say this. I think you could probably get away with the female. I do.
You are such a sexist pig.
No.
That is, you are a sexist pig.
No.
That I could get away with a female.
Because that's why they use it, because it's smaller and less aggressive.
What do you have against women?
Nothing. I love women.
Call Danielle in HR, Paulie. Get her. This chauvinistic pig over here.
You're the worst.
Why don't you go smoke a bowl, Muse? Your time's coming up.
You are the worst.
I might be. What of it? What of it, miss? Okay.
Miss, what do you have against women?
I'm quoting Big Daddy because I knew you'd laugh at it.
And I'm just stating facts about what Colorado does.
Lee Feinswog joins us next to talk about beer, and HR is going to call Muse into a meeting. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front to back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Muse, what is that song you're playing? I don't recognize it.
It's a theme to Sports 225.
No, it's not. I can assure you it's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
You're 100% wrong. That is the theme to the old Sports Monday.
He didn't just recycle the theme and use it for this dude?
No.
Oh.
That is the Sports Monday theme. You should still got 2 more minutes before you get hot, all right? Just chillax over there for a minute, all right? You should go keep being a chauvinist.
You're the worst.
All of your just awful things you had to say about female buffalo. That's just terrible. All right, Lee Feinswog for the first time in 2 months is here. Hey, man, how are you?
All right, there's so many things. We'll start with number one. It's still the theme song for Sports 225, but it was the old Sports Monday.
Hold on.
And,
Hold on. No. I
didn't say it yet.
I have been on Sports 225 many times, and that is not the theme music you use. You use some weird, jazzy type music.
On the outs, yes. On the go to breaks, Larry Garner and Kenny Acosta. 2 great local bluesmen. I do use their music.
There it is.
But on the intro, It's Sports 225.
It has
the old
not.
theme.
It has not always been the old theme.
Anyway, have you missed me? It has been a couple of months.
I do. I always miss you, Lee. Our witty banter, good friend for a long time. I mean, I haven't seen you or talked to you in a very long time. You've been gallivanting all around the world.
One day, just out of boredom, it was the next day in the middle of the night, and I listened to the show from Japan.
Okay.
Put it on the app.
Okay.
It can, Yeah, I remember one time I texted you from Europe. Hey, I'm listening to the show, and made some joke.
I don't think you did that.
Amazing.
I don't think you did that.
Yeah, in Tokyo, which is of course a city of almost 14 million. It's so large, and there's so much sushi. And I went into a sushi restaurant, and I was stunned to see that there was a Moscona roll.
Where?
In Tokyo.
There was a Moscona?
I can't believe you fell for that. That's sort of like when, oh gosh, that's just amazing. You actually had like a serious look on your face, probably.
Well,
just then.
I mean, there is a Moscona roll at Ichiban in Baton Rouge.
Of course there is. And so I ate so much sushi. I made a little sushi Japan joke for you, tying it about Moscona, and you just went hook, line, and sinker. Oh my gosh.
That was bad.
I'm crossing that one off the list. The other thing.
That was bad. That was really bad. I mean, I know you're pushing 70 now, but you got to do better than that.
Yeah. I had a 28-hour birthday, though, on my way back.
Did you really? Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an August birthday. What's your birthday?
Yeah, so I flew, most recently, August 12th, and I woke up in Kumamoto, Japan on August 12th. And by the time I got home, staying in the same time zone, flying from Kumamoto to Tokyo, Tokyo to Atlanta, Atlanta to Baton Rouge, it was 28 hours in the same day. So that was cool. And not like I celebrated the birthday or anything, but the flight attendant on Japan Airlines from Kumamoto to Tokyo, about a half hour before we land, she comes over and she says, Mr. Feinswog, yes. And she goes, we know today is your birthday. They had a little gift bag. I had one of those little pins that you could put on that they give the kids, and a little airplane model.
Oh, wow. Well, that's super special. I'm sure in your older age, like as an elderly person, you enjoy getting gifts no matter how big, grand, or small on the scale.
Oh gosh, you're just relentless.
Hey, wait. So you went? No. Where did you go in the world? So since you've been gone, where did you go?
Oh gosh, well, since I last saw you, I mean, I know I made a Chicago trip. I think I made a Boston trip. I've been to L.A., Northern California, and then been to Austin, Texas, and a couple of Texas trips. But it was 3 weeks in Japan for
3 weeks. Okay.
First as a tourist to Tokyo and Kyoto, and then World Masters water polo in Kumamoto, Japan, which is in the southwest. Can I tell you the worst part? It was a great trip.
Please don't tell me somebody died again.
Luckily, no one died, including me.
Okay,
but the weather in Japan was identical to Baton Rouge's. Got no break at all from the heat and humidity. It was hot and humid. So while we're over there in Kumamoto, we get a typhoon, which is what they call a hurricane on that side of the world.
Wow.
And, Kirk, my son, texts and goes, I hope it's not lost on you that you left the hurricane capital of the world for the first typhoon of the season. I go, no, it's not lost on us. So it was coming right at us. And on the map coming out of the Pacific, it looked like it was going to be just monstrous. And luckily it faded a little bit and went to the west. And we only just got a bunch of rain. But yeah, that's right. That's what I need, right? To be somewhere and get a typhoon.
Did you win the water polo match?
Well, we went 1-3 in pool play, no pun intended. And then
got it.
And and then we won our elimination game, and then we beat the team that beat us first for the bronze medal. And you talk about being like a little kid and getting a nice present from Japan Airlines. It doesn't make any difference how old you are. You get a medal. It's so cool. And I've been to a bunch of world championships. It's the first time I got a medal, so I was pretty happy.
Congrats, man. I'm pumped for you.
It's fun. The guys we play against, I mean, there's former Olympians. Of course, we're just a million years old.
Yes.
But it's still pretty cool, and it's fun, and it made for an incredible trip. And I had a Moscona roll in Tokyo.
No, you didn't. He is Lee Feinswog. I'm trying to think, Lee. I don't know that since you've been gone, have you been here since we expanded into Lafayette and Lake Charles? I don't know that you have.
No, I don't think.
Okay, so
well, hi.
So let
over
me introduce our audience in Southwest Louisiana on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and ESPN 104.1 Lake Charles to Lee Feinswog, longtime scribe. He's was the beat writer, LSU beat writer for The Advocate for a lot of years. He gave that up many years ago. He's done a TV show, Sports Monday, now Sports 225 for a lot of years. And he comes on and he talks about beer, and I just really just make fun of him for being an old weird guy. And for some reason, people seem to enjoy our conversation.
You know, two guys I met the other day, I went to Texas. I went to Austin and saw volleyball matches at Baylor, Texas State, and the University of Texas. But I'm walking from the parking lot and hooked up with a guy named Webb Wartell, who is a big sports fan and loves your
Webb.
show.
Thanks, Webb.
And was on his way to Dallas to do his fantasy draft. Now, that's a fantasy draft, right? He was flying over to Dallas to hang out with his boys for the weekend and do their fantasy draft in person in Dallas. Everybody was meeting there.
We're
and then,
sorry.
Yeah, no, I sat with because speaking of Lake Charles, my seatmates was Devin Dugan, his wife. He played football at McNeese in some of the glory days, and he's a big fan of your show too.
Shout out.
And so shout outs, and they these are guys who love your show. I've had it happen an inordinate number of times in airports, Matt. People say they recognize my voice from this gig, and it's So I've had a few people lately. Where have you been? Give me some beers. Tell me something. And I said all in due time.
We will get to beers here shortly.
Right.
But
no doubt.
It's so insane that for the first time, literally in the history of this show, I talked about volleyball without you.
Oh, because of the thing at Nebraska, eh?
Nebraska had 92,000 people show up to a volleyball match in the football stadium, which we talk about this often, that I love novelties. I love the Winter Classic I don't love hockey, but I love the Winter Classic where they play an NHL game in an outdoor arena, which I think is really cool. I like when they play football, like bowl games at Yankee Stadium or at Wrigley. I think that's really cool. And a volleyball match in a football stadium is pretty cool, Lee.
Well, it was, and they were very fortunate for a number of reasons. It was supposed to, the weather was trending towards the high 90s in Lincoln, Nebraska, and luckily it dropped down. It was in the mid to low 80s and got even a little bit cooler that day. There was a slight breeze, but it didn't affect the match too much, and it didn't rain. And, of course, you had a world record for women's sports. I don't know how much volleyball is going to get a push out of this, but women's sports will, because it got so much run. There were so many media outlets there. I mean, we had a writer there and a photographer. I did not go. They were like, where are you? Friends of mine are like, why aren't you at this? And I said, well, because I'm covering 3 ranked teams in Texas this week. And the match itself was between Nebraska, which is ranked number 4, and Omaha, which is not a very good team. So it wasn't, and then there was a country music concert afterwards. And so it was a big festival and a whole thing. But, like everyone reported on it. And so the buzz that the sport and women's sports got from it was amazing. When the day that it was announced, I texted John Cook, the Nebraska coach, and I said, congratulations on ensuring that on August 30th, it will rain in Lincoln, Nebraska. And he laughed. And luckily, of course, it didn't. So they had a wonderful time. And it was good. It was good. But that is funny that you talked about it for the first time and I wasn't there.
Well, it was awesome. I respect very much that you get 92,000 people to go to a volleyball match. So really cool novelty. All right. By the way, are you doing shows now? Do you want to say anything about football before we talk about beer?
Well, I watched the game, but I was at a party in Austin, right? And, that's the worst way to try to watch a football game. You can't dial in. But I kept wondering while I was watching why Daniels kept hitting his receivers right in the hands. I mean, why there? Because they kept dropping them all the time. And, I was like, what are you doing? No, it was kind of maddening to watch. And the one thing I will say, and I think we say this every year, Matt, and talk people off the ledge a little bit. Yes, it's a bad loss without a doubt. is it the first game of a long season? You have to remind people it's a marathon, not a sprint. What the loss does is takes away their margin for error because it just is in today's world. And in some ways it's kind of unfair. But I mean, my gosh, in the previous segment, you were projecting bowl games for different teams. It's one game out of 12. I mean, they could lose, who knows, 2-3 more games, or maybe they run the table. And the idea of projecting what the bowl scene is going to be like is that was
we do
a
it
little
every
much
week.
for me.
It's fun to talk about.
I know you. I know.
It's just, just a conversation piece to look at what people around the country who follow the sport think about the team's prospects after 1 week.
In theory, you shouldn't have rankings until the third week, and then it would be more accurate. But
I would be completely on board with that.
Yeah, but it is a good conversation piece, and it's not just football; it's everything else. So no, but it was seeing them drop so many balls, and you're like, "Ooh, really does look like the first week of the season." I think that there's still a lot of good players there, and they should be fine.
All right, let's talk about beer.
What is the malted liquor? What gets you drunker quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chug it. Beer. Got my belly out to here. Beer. I could not refuse it. Beer. I could really use a beer. Beer.
All right, take it away.
Well, for all of you good folks in Lafayette and Lake Charles, we do this at the end of the segment every Tuesday. Matt's got me bringing on and tasting a new beer and talking about it, so I thought I'd help you set that one up. But the beer that I've been drinking, Matt, is Castle Made of Clouds by Gnarly Barley, a juicy hazel double IPA. But that's not the beer of the week. But it's 8.5%, but it is surprisingly light for a double IPA. Really nice. But that's not the beer.
We talked about Castle Made of Clouds when you were here.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's what I've been drinking this week because I just really enjoyed it.
Okay.
The other beer that I'm drinking that I really want to turn everybody on to, and I looked up to properly say the word G-O-S-E. It's Gosa. I was saying Gauche. It's Gosa.
Gosa,
It's
yeah.
the Tin Roof Paloma Gosa Ghost Style Ale, inspired by the popular Mexican cocktail. Our Paloma Gosa is the perfect companion for the parades and warmer weather ahead.
Oh.
So it came out in the spring. We've taken our house Gosa and added lime, grapefruit, and agave, creating a deeply crushable tropical dream of bright citrus, briny tartness, and honeyed highlights. It's a really nice, refreshing beer for this time of year when it's still so warm. It's 4.25%, a beautiful color, and tastes really nice. And that's the beer that I have for you this week.
Well, we'll hope to make.
I told our beer folks, hey, I'm back. Hook me up. So there'll be more beers coming our way, which is good for me, good for you, and good for anybody who listens and tries them.
Cheers! Glad you're back. We'll talk next week.
Bye, Matt. Great to talk to you.
You as well. That is Lee Feinswog. This is After Further Review. Taysom Hill's going back to quarterback. We're talking about it next.
AFR.
So appropriate to have Lee on and then to have to do the Rouse's read because, of course, if you want beer, go to Rouse's. And Rouse's is doing a really cool thing where you can buy for and try more at Rouse's. Now, that's wine, but you can also mix and match your individual beers as well if you want to go try different things. They've got all of course, your domestics. Of course, they've got Bud Light, all the great Mockler products, and they got so many great craft beers as well, Louisiana craft beers. So go check them out there at any of the Rouse's locations. If you want to drink any of your beers, you can get them, of course, at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. If you're going to be in the Dome this weekend, cheering on the Hootats. Of course, you can always do so with a cold beer in hand, or if you're going to be tailgating, Rouse's has everything you need for your tailgate, for your game watch party. It's at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Hootat from Rouse's.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, Sean Salisbury going to be with us every Tuesday throughout football season again. We're excited to have Sean back. That's coming up at the start of hour number 3. So about 23 minutes from right now, Sean Salisbury will be here. We just talk quarterback, so this is an interesting quarterback story to get to. The Saints have updated their depth chart. And on the new depth chart, Taysom Hill is not listed at quarterback. Excuse me. Taysom Hill is not listed at tight end. He is, however, listed at quarterback. That's interesting. And it might actually just be a really, really adept play to a loophole on the emergency quarterback rule. Here was Dennis Allen on Monday when asked about Taysom Hill's quarterback designation.
Taysom took, I think, about almost 50% of his snaps last year at the quarterback position. So I don't know that there's anything really to that other than he kind of plays a lot of different positions.
Whoa!
We just listed him there.
Oh, really? I would like to remind you that the NFL has a new rule in place whereby a team can keep an emergency quarterback on the 53-man roster, and have them active for game day, but not count against the game day active. So your emergency quarterback has to count against the 53, but doesn't count against your actives on game day. So follow me here. If you're the New Orleans Saints, you go into a game week, Derek Carr is your starter, Taysom Hill is listed as a quarterback, but is playing the Taysom Hill role. If something were to happen to Derek Carr, Taysom plays quarterback. if something in turn were then to happen to Taysom, Jameis would come in as your emergency quarterback. So you could essentially have Jameis dressed and ready as your emergency option, as opposed to having Jake Haener as your emergency option on game day. Haener, in this instance, could just be a healthy scratch on game day. It is a very interesting way to approach the loophole. Remember, I had tipped to Jeff Duncan because he was so close, man. Jeff was here before the final 53 roster cuts happened, the final roster cuts to get to 53. And remember, Jeff Duncan said this.
Derek Carr has shown that he's incredibly durable in his 9-year career. Winston has not had a good camp in any way. He's had a few flash plays in preseason, but you have the luxury of Taysom Hill on the roster. If you did, heaven forbid, have to replace Carr because of injury, you've got a guy that's proven he's won in the league as a starting quarterback, a veteran.
So, and he elaborated a bit, but the whole point was, he was saying, do you cut Jameis because you could keep Haener as the 2 and you've got Taysom as a 3, but he missed it, but he was so close. But ultimately, what the Saints are doing here is they're setting up a scenario where you could have Jameis dressed on game day, but not count against the 48-man limit that are allowed to dress on game day. Now, here's the tricky part. Let's say hypothetically, and knock on Formica, you don't want anything to happen to Derek Carr, but if something did happen to Derek Carr, under this scenario, if Jameis were your emergency quarterback, if something happened to Carr, then Taysom would have to go in the game at quarterback. Jameis could only play as your number 3 in an emergency situation, which is better than having Haener in an emergency situation. But I'll remind you, the reason that's tough is because go in the Wayback Machine with me to 2020. It was Drew Brees' final year in the NFL. You had Jameis on the roster. You had Taysom as well. And Brees got hurt in that game against San Francisco. And Jameis came in and replaced him. Well, the next week, Taysom was the starting quarterback. Because if you remember, so they spent the game week with Taysom, and they put in the game plan with Taysom in his Taysom role, and Jameis was the backup. Well, when Brees was injured, Taysom became the starter, and so the whole preparation that week was with Taysom as the starter and Jameis as the backup. So, in essence, if you do follow this sort of loophole and have Taysom as your number 2 quarterback, that means he would be spending the week preparing as Taysom, right, in his Taysom role, but then in a game situation would have to go in at quarterback, which is not something that they've done in the past. Typically, your backup would go in as your number 2. So maybe not the best scenario. None of these are ideal scenarios, but it's one of those things where Taysom Hill, being who he is, does kind of give you a funky loophole to the third quarterback emergency quarterback rule. So something worth following. Dennis Allen, look, a slide by Dennis Allen there. I don't think there's anything to it. Played half his snaps last year at quarterback. Okay, friend. Not buying it. Tricky. Never thought of that New Orleans hat tip to you. Give you a little wink. A little wink. A wink and a nod. All right. Saints and Titans on Sunday from the Dome. We'll talk about that with Sean Salisbury in about 17 minutes from right now. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. As always, brought to you by our friends over at Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding, and now shutters as well. You can go to the website at ReliefWindows.com. I always encourage you, man. You can go to Relief Windows at their showroom, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, right there on Airline Highway in Prairieville. You can walk in. They always have associates ready to help you, so you don't need an appointment. You can certainly call ahead and schedule an appointment if you'd like, but check out their new shutters as well. Now offering interior shutters at Relief Windows. Durable material with lasting beauty, the superior quality and comfort that you get with Relief Windows, professional installation, custom made to fit the specifications of your exact home. They're custom to your home, custom sizes, multiple trim options, customizable tilt rod replacement. It's all there for you at Relief Windows. Check out the website. Hit the shutters tab at the top. It's reliefwindows.com, reliefwindows.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. Now, Brian Kelly met with reporters earlier today. We'll let you hear plenty more of what BK had to say. Real quick, hit number 8, if you would, Muse. He was asked, Brian Kelly was asked how he felt about having Mason Smith back this week.
He obviously impacts our defense. He allows us to do different things, allows us to, he's a guy that can play the 5 technique. He can play the 3. He can play the 1, the 0. I mean, his flexibility on our defense provides a new dimension that we're excited about getting him back.
When the question was asked, how do you feel about having Mason Smith back, Brian Kelly, I think his exact word was giddy, is how he talked about having Mason Smith back this week for the game against Grambling. So we should get to see big number 0 out there for the Tigers for the first time this year. Hopefully he's as close to full strength as possible, back off the 1-game suspension, and the Tigers against the Tigers this Saturday out in Tiger Stadium. All right, it's after further review. Muso will do Tigers and the pros when we come back, and Sean Salisbury in 15 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Not sure if you're paying attention, but I saw where the auto workers union is preparing a strike potentially, which could limit or shut down the production of vehicles in our country. One of the things that might happen as a result of that is you may see EV production ramp up because things like Tesla require less human manufacturing. It's mostly done by machines. So I've told you a bunch about ProCharge EV. EVs, the number of people driving EVs, the manufacturers producing EVs, it is ramping up rapidly. You see them everywhere you go. And it doesn't matter if you drive one or like them or what it doesn't matter at all. People are driving them. They got to have somewhere to charge them. If you own a commercial building, you got to have EV chargers. ProCharge EV is a local company. Give them a call today or learn more online at prochargeev.com. That's prochargeev.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We got the tractor on the set today. Love how the set looks on these Tuesdays. Powered by Sunshine, of course. You know why people buy green. John Deere, they own and manufacture all of their components. There's no third parties. Their resale market is higher. You get great service with Sunshine. It's a premium product. It is Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I tell you all the time as well about that Operations Center Mobile. It's basically like Life 360 for farmers. I mean, think about like when tractors get stolen. They're easily located. It's basically like a GPS for the tractor. Learn more, sunequip.com, sunequip.com, sunequip.com. For Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Okay, Sean Salisbury coming up after the top of the hour. Right now, Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, of course, it's week 1 in the National Football League, which means a lot of people have a lot of questions about the status of Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor gave an update yesterday evening. Said Burrow's just taking it day to day right now. Of course, obviously, it was the calf strain that kept Burrow out for most of training camp. For what it's worth, the offensive coordinator of the Bengals says Burrow's in a great place, and they have a plan in place for Burrow. Just getting some reps in. Taylor did add that he thought yesterday was a really good day for Joe Burrow. You think he's going to play week 1?
Yes.
Same. Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page there and seeing through this
tricky part for the Bengals
funny business they're doing here.
You don't really have – I mean, because there's only one bye, if you're competing for the 1 seed, to have your path to the Super Bowl go through Cincinnati, you don't really have the luxury of – punting a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I get it, where you'll say, well, but what if he re-injures himself and he's out a longer I understand that. I don't think Joe would not play if he were able. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a double negative. But anyway, you're at Cleveland week 1. You got the Ravens week 2, Rams at Titans at Cardinals. When you play a first-place schedule, you're going to have a tougher schedule. So you don't have much margin. Anyway, yes, I do think he'll play.
News regarding Paul Skeens today. The Pittsburgh Pirates announced that they're shutting Paul down for this season. He has been added to the developmental list. They're, quote on it, they're excited and encouraged by the positive things Paul Skeens accomplished. The goal now is to focus on a complete offseason in preparation for his first full professional year in 2024. For what it's worth, Paul Skeens got 5 games at 3 different levels of minor league baseball. 6 2/3 innings, struck out 10, had an ERA of 5.40. That is because of 1 bad inning out of 6 2/3. So the number skewed. He did not give up a run until he reached AA baseball.
He's really good at baseball.
See you in the spring, Paul.
I just can't believe they let him pitch. I expected they'd shut him down right after they drafted him. Anyway.
When we left you yesterday, Alex Bregman was 2 for 2 with 2 RBI.
That's true.
Now we bring you his full line. 4 for 4 with 2 RBI, a run scored and walked. So 5 trips around the bases for Bregman. It was highlighted by his 24th double of the season. The Astros got the victory in that one. But Josh Smith left his imprint on the game as well. 1 for 3 on the day. The one, his 5th home run of the season, came in the 9th inning off of former Arkansas Razorback Ryan Stanek. How about that?
Hey.
Solo shot to get the inning started there for Josh Smith. 1 RBI, 1 run scored. He also drew a walk in the ballgame.
You know, I was going to ask yesterday whenever you were talking about Bregman and we showed the clip of his hit up the middle of Josh Smith were playing in that game. So I didn't know if you had it handy at the time, so I didn't ask. But I'm glad to see that. That's great.
He was playing in that game. I think at that point he either didn't have an official at bat or he was 0 for 1. So it was very early. He was down near the bottom of the order last night. And Jake Fraley back from a short stint on the IL fully now. Went 0 for 2 yesterday with a walk for the Cincinnati Reds. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana has gone to get engaged for 40 years. At Lee Michaels, of course, there's 2 locations in Baton Rouge, Corporate Boulevard in Bocage, in the Mall of Louisiana, New Orleans, Lafayette, and Shreveport, always online at lmfj.com. Because they have 9 locations in all, and they buy the best quality diamonds in the world in bulk, they can always give you better prices. That's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where you always get the Lee Michaels experience, lmfj.com. Albert Breer just a bit ago tweeting, tests showed all of Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce's ligaments are intact. The knee hyperextension has caused swelling based on timing. Probably unlikely he plays Thursday, but that'll all come down to how fast the swelling goes down per sources. So Kelce, hyperextended knee at practice, unlikely to play Thursday in the opener against Detroit. All right, it's after further review. SportsCenter's coming up. Gets caught up on national headlines. When we come back, our weekly chat with Sean Salisbury. We're looking forward to it. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. All this month, every month, there's always great deals at the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. But all this month, Pico Way laser tattoo removal. Got that tattoo on spring break, way back when, fading a little bit, or you got her name tattooed and you're not together anymore, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to cut deep. But if you want to get rid of that tattoo, Pico Way laser tattoo removal. It's the most powerful, most effective laser tattoo removal in the industry. It is virtually pain-free, and it is effective, and it is 20% off all this month at the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com. Ask about hormone replacement therapy as well at the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. New development on Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, who hyperextended his knee today at practice. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports team believes his ACL is intact. There is inflammation in the knee. They'll test it tomorrow to determine his availability for Thursday's season opener. Duke and Colorado following huge upset wins in Week 1 into the AP Top 25 college football poll, 21 and 22 respectively. Florida State climbed up to number 4. And that may actually be a little low for the Seminoles, according to ESPN college football analyst Greg McElroy.
Tell me a team that looked better in Week 1 than Florida State. I would have a very, very difficult time not having Florida State at number 1. That's no disrespect to Georgia. I just looked at Georgia, and I don't think they were as dominant against lower-level competition than Florida State was in the second half, in particular, against high-level competition.
Novak Djokovic beat Taylor Fritz. Men's quarterfinals U.S. Open reached his record 47th Grand Slam semifinal. Coco Gauff defeated Yelena Ostapenko and reached the women's semifinal.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us, and we are extremely excited to be able to do this again Tuesdays throughout the fall. A couple of segments with Sean Salisbury talking some college and NFL football. He, of course, is on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Catch him weekday mornings on Sports Talk 790 there in Houston. Sean, it's always a pleasure, man. Great to have you back. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. Good to be with you too, brother. Thank you.
Man, it's our pleasure. Not my pleasure to start with something unsightly, but LSU got walloped by Florida State. I would love a thought on what you saw from the two quarterbacks on Sunday night, Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis.
Well, two experienced guys who, well, first, let me back up here a second. I said it on Twitter, and I was talking on my show this morning. I would be very guarded against quitting on LSU one weekend, just like I'm not crowning Colorado national champs and Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, and Shadur Sanders, that whole thing. I mean, it's 1 week. And of all the contests we went through this week and of all the games, the toughest matchup, not only on paper, but two teams that are going to be in the national title or Final Four talk are the two teams that we saw play in LSU and Florida State. And you got an experienced guy at Florida State, an experienced guy with a lot of games under his belt as well at LSU. I like both teams a lot. I'm telling you, think about this, Matty. Go back to the off season of 2022, before we got to the fall. All that talk. Remember, Billy Napier was about to get his gig. We talked about Manny Diaz across the country, that Miami had to make a change. Now, and Mike Norvell, there was some hints around it. Well, should we replace Mike Norvell? And Deion's name had come up a few times. There was talk.
Yeah.
So they stuck with Norvell, and Mike, who's always been a really good guy on the offensive end, got this team going. He's got himself a quarterback who's athletic. LSU's got to be more physical. They gave up some big plays. We expect more out of them physically. And you met a team that, quite frankly, was able to match you play for play. And I wouldn't expect to see the ball on the ground that much with the accurate throws. And you got to solve the special teams. Even though they got the turnover when they dropped the one in the red zone, you have got to protect the football. And I know that drives Brian crazy. So I think both quarterbacks, when all is said and done, they're going to have their teams in position. Both are playmakers. Both are dynamic with their feet and seem to have a great feel. And Florida State started to settle in. It was a little sluggish start early on in the passing game, but settled in and they put it on them. They just did. That's the reality of it. But I've seen this movie before, and I would caution anybody to stop it, and take a quick look and say, wait a second, it's one. The problem is how you lost it and who you lost it to. A team that I think is, after watching Clemson and the ACC, I think they're the best team. And I know going in they were ranked that high. I still think they're the best team in the ACC coming out of it. And I do believe they're a national title type team or a Final Four team. And I think LSU is going to give people all they can handle. They did not play great football. Part of that was self-inflicted, and a lot of that was Florida State was ready to play.
What about the Pac-12? You mentioned Colorado. You also mentioned the day that Caleb Williams had. The Pac-12 starts 13-0. All right, makes sense. Like, what's real? What's a mirage from what we saw from the weekend with the Pac-12?
Well, they're not going to be undefeated 3 weeks in. Somebody always is going to get beat, right? Always going into a season, the first thing I'm looking for with the Pac-12 is I want to know who can match Utah's physicality. That's always going in for me, Matty. It is. I know this guy and this guy, which we'll get to in a second, the other big key factor. But I want to know which coaches preach in line of scrimmage that if you get a guy hurt, can that front seven and or offensive line still move piles? How's the depth going? Because inevitably somebody is going to get banged up. It cost USC last year. If you can't match Utah, that's the barometer for me. When it comes to just straight up, they don't usually beat themselves. They're physical. And that's the physicality barometer for me. And I think for the Pac-12 to be, and what I saw, part of it is there's some physicality, but that's not how they're going to win championships. That's not. Now, maybe a little bit of Washington, a lot of Utah, that's how they're going to do it. But it comes down to this. The perimeter people in the Pac-12, on the wideouts, their speed, and the quarterback position is as deep as there is in a country. They are, especially at the quarterback position. You start to go through it, and you got Uiagalelei, who the transfer from Clemson, who's now at Oregon State, he's upgraded. You know that, hey, Rising's hurt, they go to the backup. He plays a hell of a football game against Florida. We know what Williams brings. Shadur Sanders, he ain't going to throw for 500 every week, but people want to know, could he upgrade against that type of talent? And not only did he do it, did on the road in big fashion. We know what Washington brings to the table throwing the football. We know Arizona State's got a good young stud who can rip it. I mean, you go around, and Bo Nix, they are loaded at quarterback. It's as deep, top-heavy when it comes to star playmakers that can, Penix can put up, he'll throw for 5,000 yards. They can put up numbers galore, and that's what's going to carry them. So their speed stuck out to me over the 13 games they played this past couple of weeks, with USC opening up, obviously, the week before. Great team speed. And if you're going to beat them, how you're going to have to beat them is play them in a box and do what Utah does, and it's going to be difficult to do, is you have to get them in a fist fight. You can't get them in a stick-and-move game, because if they're playing in space, the quarterback play and the perimeter speed on a lot of those teams, 5 or 6 of them, is top-heavy. And now you take a look at Oregon State, who got better over the last couple of years, now Colorado. But it is one game for most of the Pac-12. But their speed is electric, and the quarterback play, when all is said and done, the yards at that position in that conference, which also leads you to say, well, wait a minute, how's Colorado's defense, Southern Cal's defense, Oregon, how are they going to keep up, and can they, when it gets to one of those SEC teams in a playoff or they get to play a physical team either inside like Utah or outside the conference, can they physically handle it? And then in the past, they've proven that they can't all the time. But they're so dynamic, you're going to have to keep it close to play them like that, because if you get into a shootout in that type of game, you're in big trouble against the quarterbacks in that conference.
Sean, I'm not going to hold you to this, but I want to run through Colorado's schedule. I just want a knee-jerk reaction, win or loss, okay?
Okay.
All right, Nebraska?
Win, but closer than you think. Matt Rule will have them closer in that game.
Colorado State?
Win.
Oregon?
Loss.
USC?
Loss.
Arizona?
Dangerous, though. Dangerous. Take the over, even if it's at 120. Okay.
Arizona State?
I'll take Colorado. Where's that game played at?
That is at Arizona State.
Sneaky. Tough place to play, and they should have a chip on their shoulder after their athletic director sold them out, although it didn't look much like it in their first game. They're going to be better. The quarterback's going to get some experience. Close game, but Deion's team's too dynamic. I like Colorado in a close one.
Okay. Home against Stanford?
Should win, but Stanford's one of those teams that they'll pull one or two out a year. I'll take Colorado at home.
At UCLA?
Give me the Bruins give me the Bruins at home.
Yeah.
By that time, Chip Kelly's team usually gets going, and they've got a dynamic young quarterback too. As you saw him come in, we're not even talking about some of those guys. Chip Kelly will be ready for them.
Dante Moore, LSU recruited him heavy. All right.
Yes, sir.
Home against Oregon State?
Ooh, man. I'm gonna give it right today. I like the a bit of a defensive advantage to Oregon State, veteran. The key is, if Uiagalelei, can he get back to the way he was as a freshman? He played like it this past week, and they didn't have to throw 50 times to win. What they throw in the 20s? Yep. The physicality, I'm going to find out if Colorado can. I'd take Oregon State today, even though all the hype around Colorado.
Home against Arizona?
Colorado.
At Washington State?
The sneakiest game. I mean, that'll be the hardest one. I mean, not the hardest game on their schedule,
right?
But that's one they'll get one every year. I'd probably call it a draw now. If they play like they did last week, they will. But that's a hard place to go play. I would call that a draw. Give me Washington State at home.
Okay, and then at Utah.
I'm taking the more physical team.
Okay, so you got them just knee jerk. You would have Colorado 6-6 get into a bowl game. That would be a huge year one for Deion.
With also Matty, UCLA, we'll see.
Yeah.
Young quarterback. Can Sanders and that group offensively do it? They're going to have to get better defensively. Could they steal one? Like I said, could they go into the Palouse and take care of their business? I mean, you're staring. They're about where I thought. Yet it started faster and more explosive than I thought. I saw what Dan Patrick said today. I said on my show early this morning, I said, I love what Deion's doing. He did it his way. I know everybody, you may not agree with how he moves the needle, but he moves it.
Yeah.
And he gets buy-in. And if you get buy-in, that doesn't matter what the rest of us think. And I've known Deion for a long time. He's told you at every level what he's going to do playing and coaching, and he's pulled it off. And they're getting buy-in, and he's going to get recruits. But this year, I caution, TCU is not the same team they were last year, although it was a huge and impressive win. It ain't going to get that. It's not going to get easier. I can assure you of that. It's going to get tougher. And now people got stuff on tape. If you were Sonny Dykes, what were you studying? You couldn't study last year's team because, different. You're saying, HBCU, there's a lot of different players, 60-plus scholarship guys. I think 80-plus total players different. I mean, there was really, it was kind of an ambush by Colorado because you didn't really know what you were prepared for, what you were getting into. And I love what he did, but I listen, if they get through September and we're having this same conversation about how they played, then we can adjust that. But right now, that Oregon USC, like back-to-back weeks or whatever it is, that's going to be a brutal run. If they can survive that gauntlet, then they're going to be more real than we think. But I don't think they're a 9 or 10-win team. But we're riding that pony because Deion told them, and it happened.
He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, let me knock out a quick break. Come back. We'll flip to week 1 of the NFL, which gets started on Thursday. Got to get a thought as well on Saints and Titans and all the rookie quarterbacks around the league. We'll continue with Sean Salisbury next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham. Mid-City on Donmore and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Hey, y'all, fall is almost here. I get it. It's 93 degrees in Baton Rouge right now, but it's also September the 5th. So Tomorrow is the day that all of the pumpkins and the squash gourds, hay bales, scarecrows, all of the corn stalks, all the fall decor is expected to arrive on Wednesday and be on display and ready to sell by the weekend. So, exciting times. We're going to start to see the temps change and the season change, but the calendar's already there. We're into September. If you want your fall decor, you got to get that fall vegetable garden, get those seeds in the ground right now, those fall bedding plants. It's time, y'all. And Clegg's is stocked up and ready to roll. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Continue our conversation with Sean Salisbury. We'll do this every Tuesday. He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Make sure you hit him there. Sean, it's a new era of football for the Saints. You and I spent the bulk of the last 2 seasons talking about if it was Taysom or Jameis or how they were going to go. And they went out in free agency and they brought in Derek Carr. I would love your thoughts on where you think the Saints stand right now in the NFC with Derek Carr pulling the trigger. Let's see if we can get him back. All right, we're going to call Sean back. Actually, good opportunity to remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Of course, they got 9 different IIHS top safety picks. The highest safety designation a vehicle can get. And there's 9 different VW models with that designation. So you know you're driving something stylish, something affordable, something built in the USA, that's one of the safest vehicles on the road. The peace of mind when you and your family buckle in behind the wheel of a Volkswagen is unmatched. I know because I've been driving Volkswagens for a decade now. Airline just north of Highland, SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, we're going to try to reconnect here with Sean. I want to ask him about Derek Carr and the Saints. I want to ask him about the NFC South and some of the intriguing matchups here week one. Okay. All right, we got Sean back. Sean, I don't know if you heard the question. I was asking, would love your thoughts on where you think the Saints, with Derek Carr at the helm now, pulling the trigger, stand in the NFC.
I think they're better, obviously, especially on the offensive side. We've talked about him in the past, just when we talk about the overall quarterback in this offseason. We are heading into the offseason early, last, February or March, whatever it was. But I personally, listen, I think it was convenient for the Raiders, and it was very convenient for everybody to give it the old I confess it was Derek Carr's fault. He's a productive player. As you did. It was I confess he did. It was always his fault. Right now, listen, he self-inflicted, made some mistakes. I'll leave the name out, but I did talk to a person who's coached him in the past. This is the past. Loved his toughness, loved his game, thought he worked. I mean, he was in the same building, loved the way he worked, all those things. But he said, keep an eye on if he gets hit in games against big-time teams in certain parts of the season. This is what he told me. I mean, he wasn't dogging it, but he was very complimentary, but he just said, if you're looking for a possible to get to from a regular season to a January guy, then a January guy to win it in January, just keep an eye on that in December type of thing. So something to just think about as we roll forward. But it's a different conference and it's a different division. And the NFC is easier than the AFC. I think I think that's pretty obvious to us. So I'm a Carr fan. I think he's a good player. Here's what he is. He's not one of the elite guys, and he's not one of the just a guy. He's in that list where a lot of Prescott, Garoppolo, Carr, Goff, there's Cousins. Now, you could take one or the other. He upgrades the New Orleans Saints. He's more consistent than Jameis Winston. He'll protect the ball more, and he'll give you some fourth-quarter love. Now, the question, and make some really, really good plays. He's an aim small, miss small guy. When he misses, it ain't going to be big, right? We've seen that in the past, and we've seen the real small misses with Drew Brees. Now, he's not Brees, but he'll be an accurate thrower. The offense will move, and he'll take some chances, and he's got some players. But the overall NFC is starting with the division. Every quarterback in the division is different for their teams now. Mayfield, boom. Tampa's got a new one. Atlanta's got a new one. Carolina's got a new one. The Saints got a new one. And when you look at the landscape of those, advantage Saints. So it starts there. Now, we expect big things coming out of Carolina from that young fella and Bryce Young. So I don't know what Mayfield's going to get. I don't know. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I just turn and hand it on a regular basis to Robinson and let him go run, be Rookie of the Year, and do all those things because he was dynamic at Texas. So with that, I do believe it's an upgrade, and I do believe they can throw the ball around a lot. This will be the closest they've had on a consistent basis to Breeze. I'm not comparing him. But as far as the NFC goes, it's an easier path to win this division than it is some of the other divisions. And if you can get in the tournament, and I know I'm looking way ahead, but get in the tournament in the NFC, hell, you got to deal with Jalen Hurts, possibly a Dak Prescott, and some other performers. Hell, I think Detroit's going to win the NFC North. I think I do. I think they are a dangerous team. We don't know much. We don't know how the Packers are going to respond. Who are the Minnesota Vikings again? We know they can score, but they couldn't stop anybody. Can Detroit get stopped? So I think the Saints will be better. And if I was, and I am a betting man, and if I was betting on it, which I will, would I pick them right now to win the division? Yes, I would. I'm anxious to see how the leadership on the team responds to some new players and how physical they are going to be. I lean on that a lot, even though I know it's a quarterback league. This offense will be better and more consistent with Derek Carr.
You mentioned Bryce, obviously. You're there in Houston where C.J. Stroud is going to be the starter. Anthony Richardson has got the nod in Indy. I'm curious your thoughts on this group of rookies, which all look like they're going to play, Sean, and play early.
Yeah, Matt, I don't have a problem with playing them early. I always say this. First off, if you're worried about their confidence, if they struggle, then you shouldn't have drafted them in the first place. I know people, I hear it all the time. Well, Sean, look at Rodgers and Favre. Yeah, well, he had a Hall of Famer in front of him. Of course you weren't playing Rodgers. Oh, Young in Montana. Well, no kidding. Joe Montana wasn't half bad. So Carolina didn't have the luxury. Atlanta didn't have the luxury. Hey, I mean, I'm talking about just the teams, but when you talk about starting rookies, the Carolina doesn't have it. The Indianapolis Colts don't have the luxury. Hell, we don't even know if in Tennessee how Tannehill's going to respond. And will at some point when he's not hurt, will Levis respond? All those things. And even with Bryce Young now, getting back to him and C.J. Stroud here in Houston. Listen, if the rookie is going to play the same as the veteran, or the veteran's going to play at times like a rookie, start the rookie. If he's drafted that high, he comes in with high expectations. You've vetted him, you hope. Is there any guarantee? Hell no, there's no guarantee. They're going to struggle, which you better plan on seeing in every game. And early on, they'll make some wow factor plays, and then they'll make some throws that make you scratch your head. But I've talked to coaches in the past, and I've always believed it. I want to see my guy, how he overcomes failure and how he deals with the team and success. And the guys will usually tell you, Matt, you've been around it forever. Whether you and I like it or not, players will usually tell you by the way they respond to the energy who should be playing. Listen, you're going to make wow factor plays with Richardson. He'll throw and miss some, but he's going to give you plays that Gardner Minshew just can't. And the same with Bryce Young, that his backups can't give you. Stroud, Mills is a solid player, but you won 3 games. There's a reason why you drafted the guy second, Bryce Young first. So I going into this preseason, I said, for those guys on a daily basis to not start, the incumbent or the veteran guy would have to distance themselves and knock them out in a heavyweight fight in the second round and completely distance themselves in the preseason. If it's close, I'm starting the rookie because I know we're going to go through growing pains, but I don't want to get into year 2 and say he's really still a rookie. And we can't compare him to Mahomes or we can't compare him to Burrow. Those guys are built different. You're going to struggle. So I've got no issue with it. You're going to go through the pains if you're in Carolina, if you're in Houston, if you're in Indianapolis, but you're also going to come out of it saying, damn, boy, that guy can throw it. Or Bryce Young's just a football savant. For me, it's not going to be can they throw it. I know Bryce Young can throw a comeback. I know that C.J. Stroud knows how to throw the ball and push the bang post. Can they process the information, all the coverages and blitzes that they did not see in college? They saw more base stuff, and they didn't get a lot of disguise. Now in the NFL, it's different. Baltimore with C.J. Stroud's going to go haywire, giving him every look possible. I'd do it right off the bat. Same with Bryce Young, same with Richardson. It's going to be how they handle the confusion with getting guys lined up right, getting a play out of their mouth, and when you need a check, can you get to it so you're not playing uphill? That'll be the thing. I know they can all make plays. Hell, they've all played in front of 100,000 fans in a stadium. They've all been in the best conference or played against the best teams in America. Now it's going to be, do the guys buy into you, and can you overcome some success you're going to have, and can you deal with getting punched in the face physically, mentally, and emotionally, which will happen. You're going to get booed. You're going to throw picks. Coach is going to look at you sideways in the meeting room, and players are going to bitch on the sideline. But will they eventually give you the best chance to win, even if it's not early? The answer in all 3 of those cases is yes. They are all 3 the best player at that position on their team, just not the most experienced.
It's always great insight. Last thing, the complete opposite side of that coin is Rodgers and the Jets. Are you a believer?
Yeah. Matt, I do my show. We keep our TV on every day. And God love all my buddies at ESPN and all the years I was there. I'm telling you, I've never seen more people create questions for 4 straight months on Aaron. Will Aaron Rodgers stub his toe on the team bus, and will that affect the Jets? Is Aaron Rodgers' dog going to be the mascot? I'm like, man, you guys milk this segment. But
those production meetings are getting a little thin.
You ain't like, hey, let's see. What else can we talk about, Aaron? Hey, listen, is he going to travel next off season? So, yeah, it's crazy when they do it. But listen, they've got the most talented quarterback they've had since Namath, and he's the best quarterback they've ever had, meaning Aaron Rodgers. You get a tremendous – I don't know if the result are going to end up what Joe did against, in the Super Bowl, right? I'm just talking about pure ability to throw. I think he's he's a scorekeeper, Matty. He wants to prove to Green Bay, he wants to prove the world he can go be an MVP guy. He knows he's got game left in him. It's a tremendous upgrade. You're not going to see balls yanked into the ground like you saw with Zach, who's got potential, but he couldn't grasp it. And then you got a guy people are going to believe in. They've got him weapons. They can defend you. They can run the football, and he's got some weapons now. And now I think it was stale too. Jordan Love, it was time, because I think the speech by Aaron Rodgers in the off-season game, I think got stale for Green Bay too. So hell yeah, it's an upgrade. It makes the AFC East, the gauntlet of quarterbacks in the AFC is ridiculous. The seventh guy is an MVP candidate. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch Buffalo, and it's going to be fun to watch Tua's growth and see how Mac Jones does. But they're a playoff team in my mind, at least going in preseason-wise, and he makes them better because he can put the ball in spots that very few guys can, and he's going to need that in New York, and it's kind of perfect for him. The media is going to be all over it. He'll give them some liners they don't want. He'll do some things that drive them crazy, but they are a much better football team than they were at this time last year. We're talking about a Hall of Famer who's still playing in the prime of his career. Be careful. If you don't pressure the Jets, they don't protect. If they protect him, he's going to cause some trouble in the AFC East, whether you like him or not.
Hey, man, when we talk next Tuesday, we'll actually have some meat on the bone that we can chew
Can't
on.
wait.
I'm excited
Can't
about it
wait.
as well. He is
Hey,
Sean Sauls. Yeah.
Let's come up with some Aaron Rodgers topics. We can figure out that. How many puppies is his dog going to have, right?
He is Sean Salisbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. You're the best. Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Be well. It's After Further Review brought to you by Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Told you a story last Friday. I noticed my rear passenger tire was a little low. It had been low about 2 weeks prior, put air in it, and slowly over 2 weeks it started to leak again. And so I said, man, let me take this thing into Shaw Bills. No appointment. I just pulled into the Shaw Bills on Burbank, walked in. I said, hey, Matt, how can we help you? I was like, got a leaking tire. It's a slow leak. I said, can you get to it? You think soon? Like, yeah, hand us the keys. Made myself some coffee in the Keurig, got free Wi-Fi, flat screen TVs, did some work on my phone. 20, max 30, probably about 20 minutes, maybe max 30 minutes later, had me ready to go. No charge, tire repaired. You buy your tires at Shaw Bills. Part of the Charlie's dozen. It's free tire repairs. So if you have an issue, they'll get you in and out, lickety-split, no charge. It's Shaw Bills. There's no reason to buy tires anywhere other than Shaw Bills. They will sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. That's Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. We opened up letting you hear some of what Brian Kelly had to say. He's kind of put the loss to Florida State to bed. Deuce McAllister was here in hour number one, went through some bowl projections. The return of Lee Feinswog as we talk some beer. Saints with the little creative workmanship with the roster. They've got Taysom Hill now listed as a quarterback, which does open up some opportunities, which you could do with the emergency quarterback, potentially that being Jameis. So you could have Jameis dressed in an emergency situation, but not count against your actives on your healthy actives on game day. So Saints get a little creative there. Excited about it. All right, let me know. I got a break. We'll come back. Let you hear a little more what Brian Kelly had to say as the Tigers start to get ready for Grambling and some of the changes you might expect to see or hope to see this week when LSU has their home opener against the Grambling Tigers. Also, it was interesting, Sean likes the Saints in the NFC South, and most people will. They're the betting favorite, and they should be the consensus favorite to win the division. But NFL power rankings, which don't mean anything at all, obviously, except just people's opinions on how the teams stack up 1 to 32. You might be interested to see where the consensus is on the Saints. We'll get to that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Every Tuesday at Pluckers is sports trivia at the Nicholson location. School is back in out at LSU. I was speaking to an LSU class earlier today. I'm telling you, man, school is back in. The parking lots are full. It's a great time to get by Pluckers, Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Remember, also, every Tuesday, kids eat free. So adult buys an entree, kids eat free. That's every Tuesday at Pluckers. So it's a great, affordable way for the family to have a night out. Every Tuesday, both Pluckers locations, kids eat free. And, of course, sports trivia at Nicholson at 8:30. So get on by, order some wings, drink a few beers, watch some sports. 8:30, our guy Hunt Palmer, a.k.a. Hunt Palmerio, will crank up sports trivia, 5 rounds, live action trivia. Test your sports knowledge. Win Pluckers gift cards. Every team gets to spin the prize wheel. Why in the world would you do anything other than that on a Tuesday? Get on by Pluckers, eat wings, drink beer, watch sports on TV. It's at Pluckers where, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota Camry for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota Camry for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I promised LSU fans that we would play this game the right way, and that's not the right way to play LSU football.
Brian Kelly meeting with reporters on Tuesday. His usual Monday press conference moved to Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday. The SEC coaches teleconference is still as scheduled on Wednesday morning, so Brian Kelly will be back in front of the media Wednesday morning on the coaches' teleconference, and Thursday after practice, of course, his media availability followed by his coaches' show. So the regular game week starts to pick up heretofore. Oh, real quick, Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks. Shout out to the Otter. Hit on Duke last night was his best play. He and Handy had a consensus play, I was told, over the weekend. So Otter hit on Duke plus the points. They won the game outright. Got 2 early MLB plays. If you're interested, he's got Milwaukee on the run line and the Dodgers on the money line. So if you're interested in a couple of early MLB plays, games are starting here in just a few minutes. Milwaukee on the run line, so Milwaukee minus 1.5, and then the Dodgers on the money line. If you want to go get involved there, you can do it. All right, it is after further review. I'll get back to some of what Brian Kelly had to say in just a quick second. It was I'm interested as the NFL season we're 48 hours away there, 50 hours away from kickoff, Chiefs and Lions. To see how this NFL season is going to play out, certainly in week 1. The really interesting thing, as we've talked about with the Saints a ton, is, and Sean Salisbury just said it, the Saints are the betting favorite, the odds-on favorite to win the division. Their win totals there at 9.5. Basically, Vegas is saying they think the Saints are either 10-7 or 9-6. I'm sorry, or 9-8. Excuse me. And a big part of that is the fact that you're in a bad division. I don't know that there's even any debate about that when you look at projected win totals. I mean, Tampa's probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league there, along there with Arizona. And, you know, the Falcons and the Panthers are both starting new quarterbacks there. So it's interesting, though, whenever you look at these power rankings in the NFL, because this is what amounts to a poll, right? Like if the NFL had a poll like college football had polls, that's what power rankings would be. It's not to say that it matters for anything, just like polls don't really matter for anything. It's just what some people think about it. And I always kind of check out Pro Football Talk every day. Florio and the gang over there I think they do a good job, at least of. Of course, everyone has their own inherent bias, but they do a good job of content aggregation and all that stuff. But what was interesting about the Saints is that Pro Football Talk has the Saints 24th in the NFL in their power rankings. And so you're talking about being in the bottom quarter of the NFL. You're favored to win your division, but Pro Football Talk is sitting there saying you're in the bottom 25%, the bottom fourth of the NFL, just as far as if you're ranking the teams. So if you look around the others, and hat tip to, this is over at a Saints Wire. So Saints Wire went to all these different media sites and plucked all of the different power rankings. Touchdown Wire has the Saints 20th. ESPN's FPI has the Saints 20th. NFL.com power rankings have the Saints 16th. The highest was Pro Football Network, has the Saints 13th. Sharp Football Analysis has the Saints 15th. Something called the 33rd Team has the Saints 14th. I don't know what they are. SI has the Saints 24th. So SI, Pro Football Talk have the Saints at 24. Pro Football Focus have the Saints 26th. Yahoo has them 17th. So the highest anybody has the Saints rated in their power rankings is 13th. The lowest is 26th and a couple of 24th. So I guess the point that I'm getting is, more than anything, it's maybe just with this Saints team to temper expectations, because they're a team that's probably good enough to win the division, but are they good enough to win in the playoffs? And that's tough. Can all these people that cover the NFL be wrong? Maybe. People are wrong every year. Like, I looked at this last year. So, or from last year's results. I looked at the win totals from last year at the beginning of the season, and then compared that to the final result and looked at the biggest disparity. So, for example, Minnesota was projected over under 9 wins. They finished with 13. So they were +4. Minnesota finished 4 games over what Vegas had projected. The majority of the disparity, however, came to the under. For example, the Colts, their win total last year was 10. They finished with 4 wins. So they were -6. They were 6 games to the under. Denver was projected over under 10. They finished at 5. So they were 5 games to the under. The Rams were projected at 10.5. They won 5 games. They were 5.5 to the under. So my point is, we do see a disparity, a large disparity at times with wins and losses based on what Vegas odds were and where a team finishes. But typically what we see is the number heavy to the under. They think more highly of a team and things unravel and they finish with a larger disparity to the under. It's rarer that you see what Minnesota did last year. Projected win total was 9. They hit 13 and they're 4 wins over their total. That's what the Saints are kind of up against this year. Can a team that's projected at 9.5 over under get to 12, 13 and find themselves as a division champion and playing at home until they potentially play a 1 seed, likely Philly, in an NFC championship game? So just food for thought. You know, it's if people are wrong on the Saints, a lot of people are going to have to be wrong on the Saints. And it's possible. Happens every year. But the consensus on this team is good team, middle of the league, good quarterback, middle of the league quarterback, probably good enough to win a bad division. Are they good enough to win in the playoffs? And that's what the Saints, I think, we'll all learn about this team as they move throughout. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, with more than 30 locations across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products you weigh and measure. Pretty fired up today. Went and checked in my mailbox downstairs. Had an invite to the grand opening of the new and the newly renovated calibration lab, the Precision Measurement Calibration Lab at their main office in the New Orleans area there in Harahan. It's coming up next month, so I'm excited to be down there with Joel and all the folks at Michelli to celebrate that grand opening. They made such an enormous effort in 2022 and up to this point in 2023 into investing into expanding their facilities, to upgrading facilities, expanding square footage, and it just shows. It's amazing. A business that's 76 years old that has continued to maintain local ownership and continue to grow responsibly and thoughtfully, and I love to see them. I love to support Michelli. So Michelli Weighing and Measurement, ISO 17025 accreditation is available. Learn more about all the services and industries that they provide at Michelli.com, online at Michelli.com. All right, Otter Locks is coming up here after our final break. Let's hear a lot from Brian Kelly today on the show. If you missed it, you can always go catch AFR on demand. One other thing, Brian Kelly did give the injury report update, as he said that throughout each game week, he'll give his injury reports. Here was today's.
Injury report would be Amani would still be questionable, and then the only one would be Anderson, which would be probable.
So he didn't elaborate on what Aaron Anderson's injury was. We saw Aaron Anderson go into the bench on that hard hit, but he did return. He was also asked about Aaron Anderson if he would continue returning punts after the muff. He was replaced by Greg Clayton. Here was Brian Kelly on Aaron Anderson.
Yes, he's going to stay back there. Look, he's got to catch the football. With him, it's the fundamentals, and he gets away from that a little bit. He goes back to these old beliefs of, I'm better than everybody, and I can just do it. That just doesn't work, especially when you got cats running down the field, and they're on you before you know it. And then you make a slight move, and, you're off-centered a little bit, and the ball can squirt out. So we just got to get him to be more disciplined, keep working with him. He's a young player. We're not kicking him out of the club. There's then that natural progression of getting him back involved in more of the offense.
Brian Kelly meeting with reporters earlier on Tuesday. Aaron Anderson will stay back there returning punts. Great opportunity to get right, get some confidence, iron some things out before we go on the road for a conference play opener against Mississippi State. I'll remind you, State is on the road this week in Tucson against Arizona. So while you get to stay at home, lick your wounds a little bit, iron some things out against Grambling, they got to go on the road to play a Pac-12 opponent, which is a much improved Pac-12 opponent as well there at Arizona. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll wrap up with Otter Locks next.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. I got a whole bunch of reviews, but I'm just going to tell you straight up something that happened to me over the weekend. Sunday, woke up, our house was warm. AC wasn't working. Called River City's 1 Hour Air shortly after 9 a.m. Before 10 o'clock, we had a technician at our house. Shout out to Olin, who came out to the house, took a look, got us back up and running in no time, lickety-split. And I tell you all the time, and you might think, old Matt, that's because it's you and you endorse him on radio. It ain't got nothing to do with it being me. I called 752-0001, the same number I tell you. I didn't call anybody else. I called the number, spoke to Emily. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know that I endorsed, not that I'm anybody, but that I endorsed River City's 1 Hour Air. She had a technician come to the house, and we got up and running. Another 5-star review, this time from me. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We always appreciate our friends at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunequip.com if you want to learn more. Check them out. All right, one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, incomparable of an incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing great, Matt. How about you?
Doing well, man. Nice call on the Dukies last night. The Blue Devils, they get the outright win as a nearly 2-touchdown underdog. I gave out your first couple of picks. Milwaukee on the run line, Dodgers on the money line. Anything else we're looking at?
Well, then I got one other game later, but first of those games, Kershaw has been just phenomenal, and we know about that Dodgers lineup. So on the road, Luzardo has kind of been hit and miss. He was hit last time, but still, to get Kershaw at such a small price, I mean, we couldn't pass that up.
Okay.
And Brandon Woodruff is, man, Milwaukee is probably going to win the NL Central, and one thing that they do have that a lot of people don't have, they got the big-time starting pitching, and he's right at the top of the list. Corbin Burns has come on. Freddie Peralta's come on. Woodruff, his numbers are better than all of them. So we're trying to get some runs in PNC downtown at Pittsburgh. One on the West Coast tonight. We go to the Big A. And those Baltimore Orioles, man, I mean, the number one ROI team in baseball, return on investment, betting every same amount on every team all year. You're profiting the most on them, and they just won't let up. They keep waiting for them. Oh, will this team come back to the ground? This team is just on a steady ascend, and they're built for years to come. They brought in the architect from the Houston Astros rebuild, and last year was ahead of schedule. This year's ahead of schedule, but it's going to be fun to watch them in the postseason this year. Dean Kramer, who the odds makers are not thrilled by his stuff. He just keeps throwing out quality start after quality start. Can't lay $1.85, so we're going to lay a 1.5, minus 115 at DraftKings.
All right. So the games Otter already gave. Milwaukee on the run line, Dodgers on the money line, and we're going to lay the 1.5 there with Baltimore tonight in Anaheim. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Modesto, and Matt, this is a very, very fun part of college football handicapping right now, because some things that we saw are sustainable in week one, and some things are just, overreaction. And that's why Vegas
1 minute remaining.
Splits the middle. They react, but they don't overreact. So some are maybe they're a little bit stubborn about something that we think is legit. So it's fun. What sticks the first week and what kind of comes back, reverts back to the mean. So a lot of fun right now.
Man, and we got NFL starting on Thursday as well with the big opener with the Chiefs and the Lions, so we're looking forward to it. Of course, you can catch Ott and Hanny every weekday, 11 to 1 for Live at Lunch. Thank you, Otter.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, man. Have a great night. That'll do it for us here as we get out of here. Appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Again, you can catch them at sunequip.com. Love that we got the John Deere tractor here on the set, the John Deere hat. You never heard no country song about anything other than a John Deere. It's because they're the best. Check out our friends at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll look forward to being back here tomorrow. Muse, Paulie, thanks so much. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
And as we get on down the road, get to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center, WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. Tell you every day, eye care, eye wear, eye surgery. The eye care, it's your eye exam. You should always have an annual eye exam. Williamson Eye Center has 7 locations where you can get that done. Parents sending those kiddos back to school, don't have them squinting at the board. Make sure you get their eye exam. Make sure that they're seeing clearly. It'll help them, help their confidence. I know from experience, squinting at the board for a lot of years before we got glasses in the 6th grade, contacts in the 7th. But now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Had LASIK at the Williamson Eye Center. It's been almost 5 years, as a matter of fact. It was September 11th. I'm a week away, less than a week away now from my LASIK anniversary. You want to be done with contacts and glasses forever? The Williamson Eye Center can make that happen. It starts with a call and a consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. Make that call today. Let this be the day that you finally do it. Call 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets.